this. When you feel this good, you'll wonder why you waited so long to get a free consult at Limitless Mail. Get scheduled today.
I'm Karen Carr.
This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, it is time to talk some wrestling, some pro wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks for joining us. We do this show every week from 9 to 10. It is Nuclear Heat. We look at the last week of WWE wrestling, TV programming, all that, the backstage angles, anything that's really going on. And, of course, this week, looking forward to not just looking at the week behind us, but the week in front of us, which, of course, will have Raw and SmackDown. And then Crown Jewel from Perth, Australia. So a little bit different than usual. Crown Jewel, obviously, usually in Saudi Arabia, but they're making a little bit of switch to that, which is in and of its own is a little bit of a story because I didn't know if I thought that it was going to ever make it. I mean, I just never thought it would switch locations.
Yeah, it's a little interesting because, Crown Jewel, the greatest battle royale, those are kind of like two Middle Eastern, type of events, but it's nice. I think it's a nice break because, we say, the women can't, really be themselves over there. They gotta go by the strict laws, the rules that are over there. So it's kind of a nice break, in Australia, it can just kind of go off like it's a normal show. So I think that's kind of one of the nice things about it.
Normal outside of the fact that it's going to be early again. So I
Yeah.
don't know what time they were talking about it on the broadcast about what time would be locally, in the United States. And it was like, man, all right, well, people on the West Coast, I think specifically, are going to wake up at like 6 in the morning.
Yeah, I think it's 7 here for us, either 7 or 8.
7 a.m., huh?
Yeah, I'll already be up and running. So, I'll have it, as I'm running my part of that race, I'll have it in and, won't probably watch it as much, but try to zone out with it,
Well, you're doing a market to market, I think we've talked about.
I got roped into that. Zero training, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm supposed to be one of the guys that can that has the faster time, but we'll see.
Leaning on you a little bit. All right.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're probably wearing your Eagles hat today. Today was not the came up just short. Eagles finally have a loss here on the season.
Yeah, it's first loss in forever,
Right, yeah.
I mean, we were like now I think won 20 out of 22 matches, a game, something like that. So, good game. Good first half, I should say. Horrible second half because didn't score a single point and all that stuff. So, but it happens, like you said, they got to lose. And unfortunately, we lost to the Denver Broncos, and a bunch of my former roommates and friends are huge Denver Broncos fans. So I got a lot of those texts. Like, man, the one team, at least we didn't lose to the Cowboys, but we lost to the Broncos there, and I heard about
it. Well, just be happy you're not a Cardinals fan because, man, I thought we finally would get a win today. Cardinals are beating up on the worst teams in the NFL and not winning the other games. Now they've lost 3 straight games on game-winning field goals, and this one was the worst of all. This is a wrestling show, so we can talk about the blunders of the Cardinals at another time, but it is life as a Cardinals fan. Let's jump into WWE programming this past week. I thought, once again, that Raw was a little bit more entertaining than SmackDown, but, to each their own, so maybe others felt differently. So we'll go ahead and start with Raw and our thoughts on the different angles that WWE is running. So Rhea Ripley opened the show. Of course, this was the week after Asuka and Kairi Sane had attacked both her and Io Sky, so she was calling out. She wanted some revenge. Io Sky instead joins the ring and says she still loves the Kabuki Warriors. So she's kind of in a tough spot, of course, for longtime tag team partners, part of Damage Control, Asuka and Kairi Sane. Asuka then appears on the screen. She says that Io Sky can make things right by apologizing. And of course, Sky was not happy about this. So she was leaving the ring all sad and everything. And the Warriors attacked Rhea from behind. So Io had to rush in to try to help make the save, but instead gets the blue poison mist from Asuka. And of course, Asuka had hit Rhea Ripley with that the previous week. So obviously not looking good as far as that friendship coming together. The match was actually set later in the night. Rhea Ripley went and talked to Io Sky backstage, and Io said she had the match made for Crown Jewel. It'll be Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus Asuka and Kairi Sane again in Rhea Ripley's home country. So it might give you a little bit of an idea of where that one might go. Although WWE sometimes they let the hometown hero get the win. Sometimes they use that opportunity to get some heat on them. So maybe watch for that one drops on the card. But one way or the other, interesting. We've said it all along. Asuka and Io Sky, a breakup at some point was going to be interesting. I think they've done it really well. Kairi Sane has played an interesting character. At first, I didn't really like just the Asuka yelling at her, but she kind of came in later, dropped a picture of the three of them to Io Sky. So there's kind of a feeling of she's not so much happy about this whole breakup. She's just kind of following Asuka's orders. So I think her character kind of makes it a little bit interesting too. But altogether, and it also finds something for Rhea Ripley to do. I wouldn't have necessarily thought that would be necessary, but I think it's been interesting and added. And at some point, I think again, you hope in these WWE eventually comes around and we get Asuka and Io Sky in my mind one-on-one to settle the differences. But often we kind of get all these different names thrown in. And for now, again, I think it gives Rhea at least something to do without a title being in contention, and that's something. And I think it's a good story. So it also sets up, long term past all that is at some point Io Sky and Rhea Ripley are going to have to go at it again because Rhea's never beaten Io. So you're setting up that friendship as well with this feud. So a lot of different things I think getting done here. And I think it's all entertaining, which is why this feud is kind of opened up Monday Night Raw here.
Yeah, it is. Decent build up on it. My one thing about it too still is just the Kairi Sane situation. Like you said, she's kind of split on it, but just the fact that she's like 5 foot 90 pounds, going against Rhea Ripley, who's essentially, probably one of the strongest. So it feels like it's a 2-on-1 in most of those cases. But yeah, it should be interesting.
But Asuka has the miss.
She does have the miss, so that could help there. But like you said, I don't think they would give Rhea Ripley this loss. Just simply, she's not Chelsea Green. She's not, who they like to give a loss there to, and Rhea's just so over, and a golden ticket for them essentially, and getting her back down there to Australia is going to be huge for them there. But yeah, I think it'll be a good match. It'll be a high flying match. I'm very curious to see kind of how they do incorporate all that, because Rhea's not as much of a high flyer, but and Asuka's kind of a mix, but Io and Kairi like to do that, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then, I'm curious to see where they put this on the card, because we were kind of talking about that earlier. And, with it being Rhea Ripley, her hometown, it's going to be a big spot. So the beginning, it's not the main event, although it could, could be, but one of those champion versus champion is probably going to be it. So I'm very curious to see where they do that to kind of get the crowd involved and going.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think maybe this is an opener, get people excited, that, allow Rhea to get the win here. Likely. I mean, we'll see. It is a little bit strange though, again, because they did find a way for her to get on the card. Yeah. It's almost a weird way to put it, because as much as at this point she's just kind of the backup character, like you said, kind of the muscle, I suppose, that you're going to need to go 2-on-1. And you mentioned it, they do it often. I don't necessarily like it either when there's you got the numbers 2-on-2, but the heels don't feel like the favored ones.
Yeah.
Right. And so, or just like they don't look empowering. They don't look imposing. They don't look like the two that should win. And so it kind of takes away from like, well, I really want them to get their revenge. It's more like, well, they'll probably get their revenge.
Yeah.
And then you kind of throw in all this other situation where we're sitting behind here thinking, they're going to fight in Australia in front of Rhea Ripley's crowd. So it's kind of weird. Like they could give Rhea a pin here, just to get the crowd into it. But again, this feud isn't really about her. That would also be a way, though, to kind of be able to move it on, without necessarily finishing it here. Certainly, if Rhea pins Kairi Sane, you've still got a lot of Io Sky and Asuka to do. So I don't know exactly how it's going to end, but I do like that they're using the mist wisely. I say that for a long time, because sometimes you get going into it a little bit too much. And this is back-to-back weeks. I think if you're going to use it again, which they will, in Australia, maybe that's a little bit too much of it. I like it to be more of a surprise, but it was enough of a surprise. And now, like we're kind of saying, it's almost part of the equalizing of the two groups. So it's used very well here. Let's move on here to the next match, a match that sounds like I booked it. I mean, this sounds exactly like what I would do if I was in charge of booking an Intercontinental Championship match between Dirty Dom and Rusev. It was kind of interesting the way they still are approaching Dirty Dom's character. Is that he knew that he was not going to have a power advantage against Rusev, so he was just kind of running around the ring and not trying to play the power game with the Bulgarian Brute. Interesting too that Rusev, I guess you would call him a heel. He definitely has heelish tactics. I don't know if he's completely over as a heel, but the crowd was definitely behind Dom, and that's the most interesting part of all of this, I think, is and why I like Dirty Dom is he was one of the most hated characters, right? As far as booing him, not allowing him to speak all that time in the Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley. Then he turns on Rhea and he gets even more heat and all of that. But now to the point where the WWE universe liked his work so much, it's like, all right, now he's there. We're trying to get behind him a little bit. So even in booking this, you would have to think this is, when you write it down, it's heel versus heel. But the crowd was getting behind Dom, and I think they've noticed the crowd getting behind Dom. And again, we always say it. I think that's where the most interesting characters in wrestling are. Stone Cold kind of popularized that more than anything. Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Doesn't really matter. He's just gonna do what's do what's best for him, and the crowd's gonna be behind him one way or another. And that's kind of where Dirty Dom is here, and that's what this match kind of boiled down to. Again, a Machka kick nearly ends him. I thought it might have been over there. Wouldn't have been a good booking decision, but it looked like that was going to be the end. Dom is able to get out of that. He then tries the old Eddie Guerrero title toss to Rusev. So he had the title in hand, threw it to Rusev, and act like he got hit. The official though saw it, and so then he further got the official involved by kind of crowding him into the corner, and then Rusev attacked Dom in the corner, and while the ref couldn't see, Dom hit the low blow and was able to get the win over Rusev, who was very frustrated after this match. So again, not only would I have booked this because these are two of my favorite wrestlers, that's probably how I would have booked it. An old homage to Eddie Guerrero and letting him escape with the win. Again, heel tactics, low blow, nothing more heel than that. But the crowd, I think, was probably happy to see Dom get the win.
Yeah, and finally, they're doing something that they're using Dom correctly, I think. In this, because you got that Judgment Day split up, that's kind of going there, so you don't know, which side he'll be on, whether he'll be the heel or the baby face in it. Like you said, he was such a big heel, he had that nuclear heat on him, and everything there, and then they went ahead and they're running with it. I mean, he just gets cheered, and Rusev is kind of weird because it's like he also is kind of he's supposed to be that big bad, but he doesn't. I say he does, but he doesn't get like the heel reception from the crowd as well. So, but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Because obviously in the ring, Rusev is going to beat Dom, so he's got to go to those tactics, would still make him heelish, in it. So yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. Good there. I wouldn't mind seeing this continue just a little bit, just to kind of see if Rusev gets, a one up on Dom here or anything like that. But yeah, so I thought it was like you said, it was a good use of it. And I'm glad I'm glad this title is at least doing something, because there's like 3 or 4 other titles that just aren't doing anything. And this one is on probably one of the bigger names of it. So it's a good thing to see it being defended on there. So.
And Chris, many people get frustrated with Dirty Dom and the fact that he's had some very much preferential treatment as far as on-screen relationships with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and maybe heading toward Roxanne Perez. Can we throw Lana in there? Can he sneak Rusev's girl away at some point?
Lana, you got to remember Tiffany Stratton was asking, to Liv,
That's
hey,
right,
if I cash in and beat you, do I get Dom? So I mean, I don't know what he's got, going on, but it's like they're like, hey, we're gonna keep this going, and then Liv's gonna come back, and that's gonna be something. So he's got it good, and I mean, hey, he's a vet. He's been around for about 22 years, on there. I like the Easter egg. I think they gave him a Nintendo Switch, right, too, which is like handheld. And somebody showed that, one of his in one of his appearances back in like 2004 or 5, whatever it was. they opened a segment. He was playing the PSP on there before Ray comes and talks to him, during the whole custody battle thing and all that. So there's a little nice throwback to, one of the longest tenured veterans on the roster.
That's right. They do a good job with all of that. But just, imagine, I don't know if he pitched it or how he got, but like, my character is going to just get all the best girls on the roster.
Yeah.
Can we make that work?
Well, and the fact that he's married to his high school sweetheart in real life, like, she's got to be feeling some type of way. I know she knows it's part of the business, but it's like, my guy is always, smooching with, Rhea, Liv, all that stuff. They're doing, just all that stuff. So you're right, and on there, and he's got a wife at home, and it's like, she's stronger than a lot of other people would be, because that's something else there.
Yeah, that's always an interesting angle from any part of show business is some of the business, right? So yeah. That's all interesting stuff. I do think we'll see maybe Dirty Dom and Rusev again, and I'll be looking forward to it to see how Dom can get out of this one, because they clearly, again, they're telling the story. He's a little bit overmatched, but able to find a way to win. The next matchup we had here on WWE Raw is this is Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket, our weekend review show for WWE. Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez, who I've started to call Rack Rod. I don't know if it's going to work, but it sounds pretty good to me. Lyra Valkyria tells Bayley backstage she can't have her back tonight. Of course, Lyra has been trying to figure out Bayley's character, kind of going from all the different characters of the past, face, heel, all that sort of thing. And this was actually a pretty entertaining match. Bayley pulling out a bag of tricks. I don't know if she was like training with Jeff Hardy lately, but she had the Twist of Fate and Swanton Bomb that she pulled off on this in a match that was mostly, again, they do this often again with Raquel Rodriguez, is that they let her overpower the matches often. It's gonna take. Don't worry, you're gonna start using it.
Okay. Well, I don't even remember what you said. I don't remember what you call. I'm horrible with names, so you keep calling it that, and just go with it.
Yeah, all right, we'll just go with that. We'll see if we can get it going. But this match ended with Bayley actually having the figure 4 applied. Roxanne Perez then rakes her face, allows Raquel Rodriguez to finish with the Tejada Bomb. So, going into this match, I thought Bayley needs a win, obviously. And the Raquel Rodriguez, they've done a good job of giving her wins, taking a little bit here and there, but really making, presenting her as that overpowering heel. And they allowed her to get the win here, too. So I think that's really good for Raquel Rodriguez's kind of climb, ascent, as we're kind of looking at it. But often, of course, the 1, 2, 3 is one thing. The post-match angle can kind of leave you feeling a different way, and that's what this was. There's a post-match attack, of course, from Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez on Bayley. Valkyria, despite what she had said early in the night, makes the save. The heels turn on her, and then Bayley has to save her. And then at this time, Lyra Valkyria is wondering, okay, what am I getting out of Bayley this time? And Bayley does embrace her. So, again, I think this is fantastic. When I talk about Raw being my preferred show right now over SmackDown, these first couple of matches kind of tell you I'm into all these feuds. The characters are kind of changing, interesting things, interesting movement, not just kind of sitting and still. So I thought this was pretty good again, and continuing that, and we'll see. Obviously Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, a feud that will be around the corner at some point. I'm sure when Bayley turns on Lyra Valkyria, just when she is able to trust Bayley.
Yeah. They're at least building storylines, right? They're not just kind of jumping in and, even if a storyline's kind of been going on, they're putting some new seasoning on it, right? Something new, with a little bit of a twist. So, we'll see the Lyra and the Bayley thing. I'm still okay with it. I don't know. Bayley's character is just still weird to me. She's 1 week she's a heel, 1 week she's good. She's kind of, it's WWE, so it's supposed to be like this, but I think she's kind of overacting. Acting's not the strongest suit for WWE, unless you're John Cena or The Rock, right? They kind of have it in there, or Randy Orton or Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're pretty
more in ring.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but when you kind of take it over the top with some of the, like Becky Lynch, I'm sorry, I cannot stand her acting. Like when she has to sell, I think it's too cartoony-ish, right? Yeah. And I know people say John Cena he does it in a different way. I don't know what about it, but I feel like the whole Bayley turn thing kind of has that feel to it. They could still make a good storyline out of it, maybe have Lyra and Bailey go after the tag titles or something, and then that's when a betrayal happens. But I agree with you. Rack Rod,
Rod,
is
yeah.
that see?
Raquel Rodriguez.
We'll see how it goes, but it is good because they need to remember to build up the Judgment Day because Liv Morgan's going to come back here soon. She's been out 3-4 months now, so a couple months hopefully she'll be coming back. So they got to build them up to kind of bring her back into that storyline there. So I'm glad to see that. And from kind of the reports I had, it might be looking like Bailey and Roxanne Perez might be a crown jewel match that we get on there, which could be interesting, at least
fresh.
get them on there, and then
Rack
probably Rod.
Rack
Rod.
right.
There you go. Yeah, that's probably not going to stick. I'm trying. And Lyra probably just going to be in the background, there to help.
Getting mixed up into it, I'm sure. I that would be welcome. I just think we talked about it with Bailey before she did this. Was she needs something to kind of freshen her character up, and it is one thing. Just play the hits, play what's worked, play what's got over her, her over before. And I think it's good. And again, she had this kind of long drawn out feud with Lyra Valkyria and Becky. And while it was good and interesting, and they made enough angles, there were times when it kind of felt repetitive. So to go back to that and be able to refreshen it, I think is good because we've talked about it before. I'm not always the most interesting in Lyra Valkyria. As a character, I feel like she's kind of been fed a lot of things and not necessarily always the most interesting. So you kind of got to build something to that.
Yeah.
And at least a complicated friendship angle with Bailey, I think, allows them to do that without the championship, right? Which it doesn't feel like, okay, they're forcing it on us.
Yeah.
There's something there. So I'm enjoying that. Let's get to a match that you might enjoy a little bit more. LA Knight getting a win, which doesn't happen too often, though. Understandably against Kofi Kingston, who hasn't had the most upward mobility as of late. But in any case, LA Knight and Kofi Kingston is set up from a backstage segment. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were talking to the GM, and LA Knight goes and was it the other way around? LA Knight was talking
the other way around. Yeah,
but they ended up setting a matchup. This story is still kind of following the fact that LA Knight's still chasing top gold, so he gets to face a former champ to prove that he is still worthy of that. Xavier Woods did help Kofi out, tried to help him out during the match, but LA Knight ultimately wins with a BFT. So LA Knight does get a win.
Yeah, he does against Kofi Kingston, who they've just completely buried the New Day and just ruined everything. So a win is a win, right? Even if it's against, kick them while they're down, right? That's what they say. So, LA Knight, as you said, he's been a part of huge storylines, main event storylines, but he's in there to be the guy to take the pin. And Kofi Kingston, he's been doing stuff with the War Raiders and Penta and dressing weird and in black with Grayson Waller. And I don't know, I enjoyed that he won. It was a good match. Wasn't bad. But yeah, it was against Kofi Kingston. I mean, and Kofi Kingston's a world champ. He's one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and they've essentially turned him into a bad comedy jobber is what they are. And like, I win is a win. I'll just say that
it's there. And again, a win over a former world champ, so they're trying to tell a story that he's still kind of in that competition. But I think you're right. I mean, the Kofi Kingston character, close to an all-time low, or somewhere there. They really feel lost. We've talked about that with the New Day. Just from where the New Day has been, this feels like a low point for the group.
Yep.
But for LA Knight too, I mean, you go back to, the whole angle of Seth Rollins faking the injury, and kind of was LA Knight's biggest win, but it was also like, well, he's not going to get any momentum out of this because obviously it happened to an injury. Now that we know it was all faked, and part of it was just, it's really interesting. I mean, I can't imagine how LA Knight reacted, or even in his mind, if he's a professional, to that booking decision, because it's like, man, guys, this is close to my biggest match I've ever had, and we're just going to completely just kind of erase it.
Yeah. And the fact he's like 44 years old, so he's getting up there in age. Yeah, that he was one of the hottest, I mean, just talk about the Jey Uso effect. That's been what LA Knight's been the past 2.5-3 years. And they just don't give him that win. Money in the Bank twice, he's been the runner up. I mean, Royal Rumbles, decent showings, things like that. He's had championship matches. They just won't do it for him. And then I'll say this too for the New Day. I think they're setting us up to, they're just going to completely flip the switch, say this was a mistake, and they're going to go back to the joyous, Bootios, Pancakeos, all that things type of New Day, because this just isn't working. Either that or they're going to release them, because what they're doing with them is just horrible. Like Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, I'll put them both in there. They don't deserve this type of a treatment. For outside of the Usos, I mean, you got to look at all time. They're up there, with title reigns and things like that for the tag teams, and this is where they're going. You
almost have to. You're right. You almost have to get them back in the good graces of the fan and like be a good, kind of a let's go. It's almost too late now, right? Because the best part that they had, where they had the people most interested, when Kofi and Xavier were going at each other, it looked like a split. Of course, then they brought Big E, and it was a surprise of the night, right? And they turned on Big E, and it was like, wow, what incredible heat. And then from that night on, terribly taken care of, booked, cared for, whatever way you want to put it. And they're just so low on the depths of the roster now that I don't know how you could really save them outside of like what we're saying is try to, like I said earlier, play the hits, put them back into character, and see if you can get them there again. But then that question is like, to what end?
Yeah.
Which would be another breakup at some point, which at that time you would have to just go through with it. And then you kind of think too, I mean, they've put King of the Ring on Xavier before. I don't know. I don't think he's much of a solos.
Yeah, he's not.
And Kingston's probably a little bit older in his career to probably get that magic back. So I don't know. They do. When you said release him, I kind of felt like, well, they couldn't do that. And then you start to think about it. It's like, well, what's next?
Yeah. And Kofi Kingston is making he's probably making a pretty good salary. I mean, Xavier Woods probably middle of the pack, but nowadays what they're paying those wrestlers, and I know they're pumping in a lot of money, but they're cutting people, like crazy. And, you do that, you cut them, or they're just playing the long game until Big E can get cleared again. And then they'll kind of, try to bring back that storyline, and maybe Big E beats both of them back into it. And you got the New Day again. I don't know, you got something like that. Maybe Madcap Moss comes back or something, and they all go against him because he's the one that injured Big E, right?
Was
it him?
It might have been.
It was either him or the other one. Dude, it's so long.
Trying to think.
It's a guy that didn't last that long in the WWE. But hey, maybe for the sake of the New Day, they're like, oh, he makes us surprise. That's the guy that broke Big E's neck, and they get back and they're like, we hate this guy more than we hate each other. So let's go for it. Booking idea 101 right there. So
trying something to make New Day go. And that's that's the problem. It's not like these guys aren't behind it. They're trying to do what they can to get this portion, this part of their career over, and with the fans and all that, but it just isn't sticking. So they've got to come up with some sort of idea to kind of freshen them up. And I'm not sure if Big G is the one for that. Who I still think was better with Austin Theory. I mean, I thought it was more interesting then. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a quick break here on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket. We've still got some WWE Raw to talk about, as well as SmackDown from this week, but we need to pay our bills here with some commercials. So we'll do that here on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models, and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's schwissow.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs has been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yes, we are back to talk some more pro wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. We were about halfway through Monday Night Raw, so we'll just pick up where we left off with Cody and Seth Rollins. Of course, one of the hottest feuds of the two champions in WWE right now. So Rollins' promo was pretty quick. Cody came out and reminded him that he is not the future of this industry. It's the fans that are the future of this industry. Puke.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
Very standard baby face.
Yeah, very good guy approach. We're doing it for the fans, Seth. We're doing it for the fans. So at least the crowd got behind that. But in any case, Paul Heyman, he also told that Paul Heyman controls Rollins' faction, which of course would play later into the night. Rollins, meanwhile, said every decision runs through him. So again, that would be something that we would see pop up later in the night. From there, you had a very interesting decision from WWE to move on from El Grande Americano, all the different El Grande Americanos, and just make the Los Americanos, Rayo and Bravo. I don't even know what they call them. Americano were introduced, and they took on AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. We would ultimately have El Grande Americano, that of Ludwig Kaiser's El Grande Americano, try to get involved and try to help the team, but it, after all, was AJ Styles that would need a win and some momentum as he was going to face John Cena here on Saturday. So him and Dragon Lee get the win. AJ Styles hits the Styles Clash for the victory. Again, gets some momentum under his belt. Dragon Lee also needed some because he's going after the AAA championship with Dom, so that will be coming up as well. So it was one of those matchups you kind of know who's going to win, but I'm just more interested in moving to the Los Americanos instead of all these different El Grande Americanos. I thought that was kind of the fun part of the bit. And now if you're actually going to try to make a tag team maybe stable out of them, I just think all along it'd be funnier if you just kind of called them all El Grande Americano.
Yeah, and I think, right, correct me if I'm wrong, AAA has a triple team title, right?
Yeah,
I think they have something like that. So could be for that, to bring that over to WWE. But yeah, I mean, the fun part of who's El Grande Americano, and we kind of we're hoping, in our predictions that eventually comes down to they all meet up and match for who that is. But it looks like it's the Creed brothers, right? That are are they too?
They're too big. I think this would be too big. I haven't seen the Creed brothers in a while.
That's why I was, but I mean, now they've gone away, since Chad Gable has.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh, mate, but you're right. It doesn't look like them, but now I'm like, who are Los Americanos? I know I'm an Americano, so I mean, but it's not me. In there and that stuff. But yeah, they took away from that. And man, I know the John Cena AJ Styles crown jewel is like a dream match and things like that. People want to see it, but there's no real build up for it, right? Like, that's weird to me. Isn't it still kind of weird to you? Just like, it's like, oh yeah, this is happening. Oh yeah, AJ Styles needed this win, because he's facing John Cena at Crown Jewel for the last time. And it's like, we haven't seen John Cena since he got destroyed by Brock Lesnar, things like that. So I don't know. I just think that part was weird of it. But yeah, we'll have to see what they do with Los Americanos. I don't know where they can go from here, just unless, like I said, they're going to bring that triple championship from AAA.
So it looks like, and I believe it's Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne who are the Los Americanos. But I'm not sure. It's interesting. I guess the interesting part of that angle is, is it going to be Tyler Bate? Like, when they unmask, are we going to do that? Is that going to be part of it? Because I think they're almost overthinking it. Because if you remember, Ludwig Kaiser was kind of in the background during some of these segments, and you could see him like thinking and putting together this group or this angle for whatever reason. And I think that's fine. Like, that's how they kind of got into it. But at a certain point, someone should have probably told them, hey, what's better than some Ludwig Kaiser master plan with Pete Dunne and these other guys getting involved is just the mystery of who the Americanos was. The whole thing I was entertained by, and I'm not sure if this is the way I want it to go.
Unless Ludwig Kaiser, was thinking and was like, hey, I can take this away because Chad Gable's injured, build my own faction. And then when Chad Gable comes back, you got the real El Grande Americano come back, because I know the Creed brothers have dressed up as them before. And you've got,
so you had a 3-on-3 El Grande Americano battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you got the fight to who are Los Americanos.
Yeah. That might be a good way to do it. So we'll see what they do.
It's messy. But I don't know. We're just kind of throwing it out there.
That's actually pretty good for just thinking out loud. I like that. So we'll see what they're able to do about it. I didn't necessarily like the move toward making them different characters than El Grande Americano, the third or fourth, but that's what they're rolling with. We'll see what they do with it. Of course, not giving them the win out of the gate also doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence that they have some sort of master plan. Let's head then to the final match here, tornado tag match between the Usos and the Vision. Of course, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker making up the Vision there. At some point in this match, Jimmy got speared through the announcer's desk, which allowed the heels to use the numbers advantage and attack Jay. Now, Jimmy would eventually make a comeback, but it was to no avail. The heels would stack the Usos and prepare to dismantle them. When Roman Reigns' music hits, he makes a stave with the steel chair, setting up a double splash for the win. Again, no disqualification here. So the Usos finally get the win over the Vision. After the match, the Bloodline then beats on the heels. I mean, this was heelish activity.
Yeah.
Roman kind of leading the charge along with Jay. Jimmy's kind of standing there looking on, wondering what's happening with his family. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns is telling Jay, that this is his show and he's the new ruler and all that. So it appears, again, they're kind of telling the story of Jay kind of becoming Roman's character from the past, the tribal chief. So I think that element is interesting. The Usos versus the Vision, they've almost replayed it too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not necessarily getting excited for another tag match between these four. Not that it's not entertaining and good, but it's kind of replayed here. So there is all that, and I they can do. I mean, you can get away with a Roman Reigns return is going to get any live crowd happy.
Yeah.
It just felt like to me, and I get it. They're doing it to advance the Jay story. So I think that makes sense. So I don't have a big problem with it. I would just think that Roman Reigns surprise returns, you could hold off and really kind of get more of a special moment when it happens than just the end of SmackDown again to try to get Jay's character further over.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know, because I think this is Roman's first appearance since August 31st. When you think about it, it's October 5th. It's been a while, and it's kind of been a buildup of it. I agree. I like the storyline of, even years ago, when the original Bloodline was going to split, Roman was saying, Jay, you're the next guy. So, that storyline's fun. But, bringing him back kind of just for a nilly-dilly Monday Night Raw here on that, it's fine. It's a good surprise, but if it's not advertised and people aren't watching it, it's not really that effective, if that makes sense, on there, things like that. I mean, I didn't watch Netflix Live, but I watched it the next day. So it kind of worked there to that appeal. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. Division are just, it's going back to the Judgment Day versus Cody, Sammy, Kevin Owens. I mean, they were the main event for SmackDown. They're just kind of everywhere now, and while we always say TV time is good no matter what, this is one of those, you're getting into that repetitive stage. They're winning some, they're losing some. How do you take it serious on there? What storyline are you truly trying to build here, right? Because they're attacking everybody, which I guess is the point of what they want to do. But I don't know. I'm with you. They need to the Vision need to do something, maybe go after the tag, something, something there, something fun. But right now it's the same old.
Now, what I do like, it's a combination of some things. Again, these are becoming repetitive and like you're saying, kind of the same old thing. What I do like is that at the very top of the WWE, and this feud is part of it, right? Is that it kind of reminds me of the Attitude Era when everybody was kind of interconnected, right?
Yeah.
And so this feud, you're going to have Cody and Seth be a part of it. Obviously, the Vision and the Usos are kind of a part of it. Roman's a little bit into it. Brock Lesnar's kind of on the periphery. Randy Orton's involved. So I do like that it's not, sometimes in WWE, over the years, they've kind of gotten this like, you're supposed to believe there's a locker room, but everybody's just so acknowledging their own feud that there's no getting outside of that.
Yeah.
And now at the top, at least I think you have all these characters around the main belt, the main title picture, that can kind of interconnect through different, woven stories. And, we've seen that to even include LA Knight.
Yeah.
And so, again, some of the characters can get a little lost. LA Knight's character probably at the bottom of that. Other characters are brought up because of it. Jimmy Uso otherwise would not be in this.
Yeah.
So, there's enough. That's what's kind of disappointing, I guess, is there's enough characters involved that we're still kind of getting the same matches.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess when you bring it to that way, this is the one year I want them to go back to the original 5-on-5 Survivor Series, and you can have a team Seth versus a team. I don't see that's a problem. It'd be like CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and the Usos, right? So who would be the leader of that? But then that could be a fun, 5-on-5 elimination there, and then you could break it however you want. But yeah, you're right. The more you think about it, it does kind of break down into that. It's just, there needs to be a good payoff for it, I think.
Yeah.
There needs to be something. Whereas, yes, right now, you have the fun Seth Cody. I think they're doing a decent job of, that championship build up there. But like CM Punk's kind of, he's still in the dark with it too, Randy. So yeah, you're right on that. We'll just have to see if they do anything with all of it.
Yeah, as always, you want to see the payoff. But we'll see. Even and to include kind of going back to CM Punk, because he got the big win with his wife coming back, and we just haven't seen him on TV.
Yeah.
I think they've said that he's coming back this week, and maybe they could quickly set up something here with AJ Lee and Becky for Crown Jewel. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll see this week. As I see it right now, they've only got 4 matches on the card, so we're gonna have to see what they do this week to get a few more in there. All right, let's go ahead and take another quick break. We will talk about SmackDown when we return here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Let's talk some SmackDown, shall we? We've got one more segment here to talk some pro wrestling on Nuclear Heat. We've got the whole show of SmackDown to get through, so we better get into it. SmackDown started off this week with Cody showing off his Crown Jewel Championship ring. was quickly interrupted, very quickly, by Paul Heyman in the bronze. Randy Orton popped up out of nowhere to even the odds, but Paul Heyman was sat there and did his best. He held the bronze back and said was starting to cast doubt on a long-term teamwork between Cody and Orton. So obviously this was setting up the main event as well. So that's why you didn't see any fisticuffs going off here, because we would later in the night for the main event, it would be Cody and Randy versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, as we were just talking about, always in the main event on SmackDown and Raw now. So there you have it. That set up the main event. But more importantly, again, I think, is acknowledging WWE, acknowledging, and Paul Heyman giving, kind of making him look like the smart guy to figure out that at some point Orton versus Cody would be fantastic to get into.
Yeah, it would be. And, Orton's staring at that title, all the time, and kind of whenever he's behind Cody, it looks like he's trying to switch back to that Viper, the Legend Killer, and that's what we want to see. He might be almost 50, but Randy Orton is still Randy Orton.
Oh yeah,
I want to see Cody Rhodes hit an RKO here and there, or maybe even a punt. I don't know. I'm not saying that I don't like the guy, but that'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be, and I mean, we'll see. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because Orton is just kind of around this feud, right?
Yeah.
And so we're gonna see when Seth and Cody go at it at Crown Jewel again. I think that's almost got to be the main event, just because I don't know. There could be, they've kind of let us know that certainly again that Randy Orton could get involved. Braun, perhaps Roman Reigns, from the outside, most likely not, but I mean he could get involved. Certainly Brock Lesnar. With the connection with Paul Heyman, the Usos, all that sort of stuff. So I think it would be very exciting to see what happens there, and maybe would see Cody or Orton turning on Cody, maybe going as far as to join Seth Rollins in the division would be interesting. A call back to their authority days.
I mean, I think that'd be fun because let's just say he turns on him, right? Let's say Randy Orton wins that title. Hey, you've got division with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes both there. And then my obviously fantasy booking of it would be John Cena's last opponent would be Randy Orton one last time. Imagine going for the belt again. You don't have to have John Cena win it, but one last time for that. Gold.
Would be really good. Yeah. DP asked me this week who I thought his Cena's final match should be with, and I found out my answer all the time is Randy Orton.
Yeah.
For almost anything, because Randy Orton's so good at pro wrestling.
Yeah. It's either got to be Randy Orton, The Rock, which I know not popular, but he had that whole storyline, or it's got to be Dominic Mysterio. It's got to be somebody he can put over that way. If you're not going to put somebody over, it's got to be, I think, his rival. John Cena, Randy Orton. Those were, I think those are the two guys that are equal, right? Along with like Batista and Brock Lesnar around that time. What a way to end it, right? I mean, you could do that. Have heel Orton versus babyface Cena. That's what we grew up on.
Yeah.
For the WWE Championship one last time in his last ever match. Gold. I think that'd be great. You could build on that and just money.
The internet is speculating. They've announced John Cena's final match, where it will be, when it will be. We just don't know the opponent. And it looks like Adam Copeland, otherwise known as Edge's contract is ending in AEW just in time for maybe one final match with John Cena. Of course, they had a rivalry as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. I would love that too. But I don't know about his final opponent, if that makes sense. I mean, I know they already ran the Randy Orton, but because John Cena has 4 more appearances left, right? I mean, you got AJ Styles, you could do Edge, and then you could do Randy Orton one last time. I mean, that's kind of how I would run that.
Just very, very interesting too, as we sit here, that the decision was to have Cena get buried by Brock Lesnar, who they've done nothing with since.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it made no sense. You know, you could have done anyone else. You because that's all Brock Lesnar was brought back for, was that. And, we know all the outside stuff. People didn't want him back. It wasn't a warm welcome. And then you just have him squash John Cena.
It just really puts a damper on, like, oh, who's his final match going to be? Or what is it? Like, the whole run, just kind of a little bit like, well, there was that time when they just threw him off. He fed him to Brock one last time just for old time's sake.
Yeah.
And it would be one thing if Brock took that heat and the next night came out and attacked Cody, or kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, I see they had to build something. They're moving towards
Yeah.
something, and maybe they are. Maybe it will be Brock Lesnar versus maybe he'll show up and cost John Cena the match against AJ Styles. I don't know. I wouldn't mind that just because storytelling wise, finishing with Cena getting his vengeance on Brock would also be pretty good.
Yeah, it would be. That's how they're building it. But in my world, I mean, can you, or let's say Randy Orton turns on Cody really, really fast. They do all that stuff, and then, I mean, you could do a triple threat of Randy Orton, Edge, and John Cena for that title. That I forgot that Edge's AEW contract came up, and he's even kind of said, if they want me, I would, I don't know if he said that, but it's been kind of like rumored that he's very open to coming back to do the match with John Cena. So I guess that would be a lot of fun.
That would be fun. So we'll see if that's what they end up going to. I thought, the next part of SmackDown interesting because Carmelo Hayes backstage basically broke up with The Miz as far as tag teams goes. They've kind of never been on the same page. So that's one thing. Sami Zayn was asking for a U.S. Title challenger in Miz's Music Hits, Carmelo Music Hits. He goes out there. Miz attacks him from behind with the skull-crushing finale. So we're going to have that feud. Instead, Aleister Black accepts the challenge from Sami Zayn. But with the Hayes and Miz angle, again, they often use the Miz to try to get people over. I thought it was working here. Maybe it will. Maybe they'll have a long battle between each other. I just thought there was a little bit more. If they would have put a little bit more time of putting them together and then having the breakup, I think it could have been interesting. But they're gonna have them go with the singles battles here, and again, this. If I would have booked it, it would have been happened at some point, just not yet.
Yeah, not yet. And I think just last week we said we'd rather see them be together for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Or, as The Miz complained about, he should have been one of John Cena's last opponents, because they had a huge storyline, which he's voiced, hey, I'm disappointed. But, they're going to go to, and this is going to be something that won't hit a premium live event. This is just going to be Saturdays. And I'm sorry, The Miz still can be fun on TV, but man, he's hit that Natalia status where you forget he's on the roster. Then he comes up, tags with somebody, mentors, puts them over, rinse and repeat. And eventually, one of the guys that helped put the company on his back, because The Miz did. He did a lot, is just going to kind of ride off into retirement.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. He has a couple weeks ago, he sat on the announcer's desk, did okay there. Maybe they're kind of thinking him for a role there. Again, he's great for bringing back and putting people over, and I think he's done. I mean, again, we talk about Carmelo. I haven't always been all that interested in Carmelo. I do want to see these next matches here with him, but again, I was enjoying their tag team even through the kind of the dissension that they had. But whatever, they're moving on. We'll see The Miz versus Carmelo Hayes, I'm sure, in the upcoming SmackDown. Sami Zayn and Aleister Black. As you can imagine, Sami Zayn always puts on good matches. This was kind of the idea for the U.S. Open Challenge, is get one of your best in-ring performers out there and put on these matches. So this one lasted 2 commercial breaks. The only problem with the whole thing is that we all knew what was going to happen, how this was going to end, because Aleister Black is feuding with Damian Priest. And so Damian Priest does distract Black, allowing Zayn to win with a blue thunder bomb. Priest then puts Black through the announcer's table with a razor's edge. So just kind of the latest match there. A unique way to kind of get another angle for Priest and Black. So I can at least appreciate that. I don't necessarily know if it makes it the most intriguing feud. Again, I think it's kind of been hurting it just in comparison to other feuds. So at least there's kind of something there. One thing that's not helping, I don't think, is the involvement of Kit Wilson with Damian Priest for some reason. You have these characters of Aleister Black and Damian Priest, which are just these dark characters. Again, I'm completely into it, but those that are probably don't appreciate as well Kit Wilson getting involved. And so, I mean, it's not a major involvement. He's just in the backstage segments with Damian Priest these last couple of weeks and just being kind of a goofy, silly guy, and Damian Priest takes care of him. I don't know if you necessarily need that here.
No, I don't think so either. And like you said, it kind of takes away because Damian Priest and Aleister Black, I think, could do this fine by themselves. They're both good in the ring. Aleister Black, I think, really kind of showed against Sami Zayn, just how, I think he's like an MMA or a kickboxer in real life. So, and that style really suits him there. So I agree. It's different, but that's what the WWE is about, right? They really try to force pairs that just shouldn't work. Tag teams that just are total opposites, and they roll with it.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully, Kit Wilson doesn't get too much more involved in this feud. From there, Chelsea Green was still looking for a Secret Harvest member backstage, but instead, her and Alba Fire got set up with a match between with Sol Ruca and Zarya. Of course, Sol Ruca and Zarya kind of new to at least the main event scene here, or excuse me, the main roster scene here. So it was good to get them matched up. And I always like the fact they're kind of doing this because they're telling the story that Sol Ruca and Zarya want a match for the championship. The best way to do that is beat the people who most recently were fighting for that championship. So I appreciate that they did that here. Again, Chelsea Green ultimately goes for the unprettier, does not get it. Sol Ruca hits the Soul Snatcher out of nowhere for the win. And we talked about it before with Chelsea Green angle. I mean, she could take as many losses as you really need her to, just as entertaining the next time, and she can go in the ring. So, it looks believable out there. The Soul Snatcher, though, that is one heck of a move. Of course, that has helped Sol Ruca's rise through NXT, but to see it again now on the main roster, very athletic, one of the most impressive moves I've seen in wrestling.
I mean, and that's what you need. You need somebody that has the looks, the move, the ability on the SmackDown roster, because we've talked about it. Chelsea Green is phenomenal. Tiffany Stratton's still good. You got Jade Cargill. And then after that, it kind of starts to fall off. So, you bring some. I mean, I know you still got Charlotte and Alexa, but I don't even know what they're doing with the tag team. They're just over there. Sol Ruca, she looks like she's kind of on the Tiffany Stratton, Stephanie Valkyrie kind of trajectory there.
Yeah.
She could be that next person.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm very excited. I mean, just the Soul Snatcher alone. That's worth watching one of her matches with. It's just incredible. From there, we had Los Garza's, that's when we had Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Valkyrie do the contract signing. Here's where SmackDown lost me.
Yeah.
They had Julia and Kiana James show up and attack Tiffany and propose to Valkyrie to join them. This was after the contract was signing. So one way or the other, you're getting Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Valkyrie, of course, that crown jewel. Tiffany ultimately attracts Kiana James, but Julia gets away unharmed. Maybe this is just, the old, hey, let's put the opponents against, on a tag team match to SmackDown before and maybe create some dissension there or whatever it might be. So we might see that on SmackDown. I almost hope so, because Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Court is exactly what I want as a wrestling fan. Okay, two new up-and-coming stars. Yep. Who's going to win? They're both champion. And then you throw Julia, and I hate to put it this way, but there's a stink now to Julia and Kiana James' act, because it's not getting over. It's not better than the previous title holders kind of had before it. And so, again, this is a huge favor for them to try to get them into kind of a main event picture or something. But Julia has her own belt. There's supposed to be something going on there. And Julia and Kiana James, with all respect, again, not that it's a terrible act, they just haven't been all that interesting.
Yeah.
And this was the match I'm particularly looking forward. I do not want them involved whatsoever.
Yeah, no, you're correct. And that's your U.S. women's title champion. Yeah. I mean, I think we agree on this. They should have never taken it off of Chelsea Green in the first place, because even though she takes losses, her being the champion with the Secret Harvest, that's a storyline. I mean, the Judgment Day, they don't defend their titles. They're over there. I mean, Tiffany Stratton, kind of just held the title. You could have done it. And nope, they went to Zelina Vega and now Julia, who you forget is the U.S. women's title. She's got, as the kids say, zero aura, right?
Yeah.
Like just nothing going for her. Like you said, her and Kiana James, you see them come in, you're like, okay, this is the popcorn bathroom break, on there. And that's not good when they just unveiled the U.S. title last year, and it's already gone to this. Talk about intercontinental championships with Becky Lynch. This is with Julia, and then you look, Roxanne Perez, Julia, and Stephanie all came on the main at the same time. One's a world champ, one was a tag team champ, one's at the bottom of the barrel, but is the U.S. champion. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I think they're going to do are they doing the tag team?
I would assume so. I don't know.
I think they're going to do that, but I don't know. We'll see there. But yeah, I agree. It's not really all that well.
Yeah. Well, and if they do it, then fine. Bury U.S. title champion right before Crown Jewel, I guess. But I just don't see it. And again, to your point, just what how entertained I would be if Chelsea Green had. I mean, this whole time I'd be entertained. Instead, we sat through an Orless, and I hate this because I like Zelina Vega, but an Orless Zelina Vega with the title, and now the same thing with Julia. And maybe Julia has a future. I mean, I get language barrier, put her with Kiana James, but okay, make it interesting. Get people out there that kind of make this intriguing. They haven't been able to do it yet, and again, now you just throw it into part of that would make get other interesting characters involved. But I don't want you to take away from Stratton and Vecure. But again, it could be an angle where one of these two doesn't have to look like they lose too much from losing the match. But my God, please don't have that impact the match there in Crown Jewel. We get to the final match here: Cody and Randy Orton against Breakker and Reed. Ultimately, hard fought match between the two pairs, but Rollins ends up getting a surprise stomp on Orton, which allows Reed to hit the tsunami for the victory. Afterwards, Rollins ignores Paul Heyman again from earlier in the night and tries to stomp Cody, who instead gets up and hits a crossroads to close out the show. Again, the story being told that Cody always has Seth's number here. We've done enough, so I don't have to go over the crossroads. Doesn't look near as brutal as the curb stomp potentially was going to. So a little bit of something there that hasn't helped. That hasn't hurt Cody as far as getting over in popularities before now. So I'm not going to complain too much about it. But I do I am interested because all this time I've kind of thought Cody's going to win. Seth probably won't be hurt by a loss. But they're really leaning into the fact that Seth can't beat Cody, unless that's the whole idea is at some point you're going to just kind of continue with that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's how I would approach a Seth loss to Cody, because then you really do kind of bury him a little bit more. Having said that, I mean, they've done this before.
Yeah.
They kind of have ruined some steam before in these champion versus championship matches with that type of angle. But I'm starting to think with that leaning that much into it, maybe Seth comes out on top.
Yeah, I think that Seth comes out on top because I think he needs to, because he's still building that faction. And they took the loss to CM Punk and AJ Lee. So that's kind of kind of going down. Cody, we talk about it. He's kind of on a Super Cena run right now, right? Things like that. He won it last year. So he's essentially the defending champ making it back, right?
Yeah.
So Seth Rollins, the guy that can dethrone him, he gets that ring. He gets to kind of brag about it, say he's the champ of champs, right? And all that stuff. So, all that fun stuff, and that helps the vision in my mind. So I agree. I think Seth Rollins needs this win more, and I think that's where they need to go with it.
Well, real quickly, we got our Seth pick there. Stephanie Vecure or Tiffany Stratton?
I think they're going to go with Stephanie because she's the new one.
I think they go with Tiffany Stratton because she's been undefeated. Cena, AJ Styles. Anyway, Styles comes out on top.
I mean, they're burying Cena a lot on his farewell tour, but I hope it would be Cena that gets it there.
Yeah, I would think so. We'll see. Again, I think Cody Seth might be the main event. They might have John Cena lose, as like I said earlier, to set up his next matches.
Yeah.
Something like that. But other than that, he's got to win that. And then we mentioned before, Rhea, Neo Sky probably going to beat Asuka and Kairi Sane.
Yep,
at least for our predictions there. And then who knows from there what else will be on the card. That'll wrap it up for Nuclear Heat this week. We'll talk about that card and this week of wrestling next week.